Hey guys, so I am here today interviewing the absolutely wonderful Mr. Ralph Rolle.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm having a good time. Yep. Fine, thank you so much.
Good time, I like that. Nice little chic reference.
I didn't mean that. I didn't.
So for those unaware of who Ralph Rolle is, why don't you just take a quick 2 or 3 seconds to give us a quick speed of who you are?
I am Ralph Rolle. I am a drummer. I'm from the Bronx. I am left-handed. I play right-handed set. I am the drummer with Nile Rodgers Chic now. In the past, I've played on television shows, Showtime at the Apollo, the Caroline Ray Show, BET Awards, BET Gospel. Quite a few different people, as well as Sting, Elvis Costello, Vanessa Williams, the Notorious B.I.G., which I'm very proud of that. So my repertoire for people I play with is pretty vast. D'Angelo, Erykah Badu. Pretty lucky. 40 years I've been traveling, and I have to say it's been the best education that I've ever received. You know, just going places, learning about other cultures and people and how that applies to America. You know, because all of the cultures are in America, but all of those cultures in America aren't in other places.
Yeah.
So you kind of get a better understanding of, why things happened the way they did, and it's very interesting, I would say. If I ever wrote a book, I think I would write a chapter about my travels and the experiences as it pertains to the American society.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of heady, but I think they might like it.
I would read it, I would definitely read it, yeah. Is there any place you've travelled to in particular that you absolutely fell in love with, apart from Japan, of course?
There are some places that, I really like Manchester.
Manchester.
I like Manchester a lot. I love Dublin. Dublin has been great. I was in Lagos recently, and I really enjoyed, the culture of these countries and the people, and just seeing what it's like being there.
Yeah.
So those places, I think I could probably live in either one of those places: Japan, Manchester, Dublin, Lagos. I could probably live there.
Wow. Fantastic. I've only ever been to Manchester once. And it was a few years ago. I was in a band and we were on tour, and it was we were playing the toilet, the toilet tours. But it was really, really nice, really, really nice.
That's right. Y'all call it the toilet tours?
Toilet tour. That's what we call it.
In America, we call it the chitlin circuit. Yeah, I'll explain what chitlins is later.
Oh, feel free. Anything.
No, well, during the colonization of America, when slavery came. The types of foods that were available to the slaves were the scraps, were all the foods that the slave masters didn't eat. So the slave had to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So one of them was pig intestines.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's what chitlins are. The English pronunciation is chitterling.
Chitterling.
Yeah, but black people call it chitlins. And actually, most people in the South, black or white, it's chitlins.
The chitlins.
Yeah, and believe it or not, when I was a kid, my mother used to make chitlins because she's from the South.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, then when I got to a certain age, I can't do this anymore. But if it's made right, it is actually a very good meal. And then I realized that it is a delicacy in France, and it's also a meal that's served in Japan.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because I brought a good friend of mine to a soul food restaurant, and I tried all the foods that I thought he'd never had, and he said, "Oh, we have that. We have that." So,
and you're just like, "Oh,
yeah, right.
You're trying to impress him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So chitlin, right? I thought so. Just like I was trying to impress you with my shirt.
Oh yeah, you did absolutely. Yeah, I didn't even think that.
Your shirt is cool, man. I like that, man. I wish I could fit that because I trade you.
Oh, dude, feel free.
This would look like a dress on you, man. And that would look like a too tight bikini on me.
Some people might rent it. Who knows? Who knows?
You know what? You're right.
Yeah. There must be a culture for that somewhere. I got this T-shirt. It was I went to New York for the first time in my life last year.
Oh, nice.
And because I was with my girlfriend and her family, and we were in New York. We were in New York for 5 days. Stayed in the New Yorker hotel.
Nice. You went all New York.
Oh, we went full proper. We got a yellow taxi everywhere. Like got street vendor hot dogs. Yeah, like.
What? Oh, you did the real experience.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
We done what else did we do? We done a lot of the tourist kind of stuff. So
Nice.
we did the Rockefeller Center. We did Empire State Building. Like you name it, we probably did
Statue of Liberty, did you do?
We went past the statue.
Right.
We were on one of those boat tours.
Yeah.
Like, you know what they say, like, yeah, we'll go to the Statue of Liberty, and like, you just kind of circle around it.
Yeah,
it just has to be really quick.
Well, New York, New Jersey has been very strict about who goes on. Now, for a while it was closed. You couldn't even do a tour. You know, but I think it's open now. Yeah.
We went to Broadway, of course.
Nice. What show did you see?
We saw School of Rock.
Nice. How was it?
It was really good. The kids actually were playing their instruments as well.
Really?
I don't know if you're familiar with the.
Oh, I saw the movie with Jack Black. It's one of my favorites. My daughter used to love that.
Did she really?
We was walking around for like months going, if you're not hardcore.
Unless you live for
hardcore. Yeah.
This is already the best conversation I've ever had in my life. I never thought I would like be sitting here today talking to the drummer of Nile Rodgers about School of Rock and singing it.
I love my kid, and we always have like the best times, and you know, just acting. I act just as crazy as she does. So you know, I mean, Nile introduces me as the crazy guy in the band, so it's befitting of me to be that way with my daughter.
With your daughter, of course. What age is your daughter?
She is now 15. She is not because she's my kid, but she's amazing. She has a 96 average in school. She speaks 2 languages fluently, and I'm extremely proud of her. I should have her face here. You know, my mother and I decided when she was very young to put her in piano because the fact that I teach, I understand that music is such an integral part of a person's growth.
Absolutely.
And I wanted her to learn an instrument that was melodic. It's something that she would have fun doing, and also another style of reading. You know, now that she knows how to read English and Japanese music as well.
Japanese?
Yeah, she does. We grew up in Japanese school. My daughters have Japanese.
Oh, okay. I see.
But she didn't gravitate towards music. She's more of an academic. So I'm guessing, based on what I'm seeing, she'll probably end up doing something in law. Yeah. I can almost see it coming.
Yeah. And so you say you raised her on piano, so she...
For the purpose of learning how to focus and just study at an early age. You know, while she was learning how to just read and talk and things like that, this was a natural addition, and I recommend it for any parent to get their kid in some type of music instruction, because it really does connect those synapses in the brain that helps them study and focus at a very, very young age.
Absolutely.
And I knew that from teaching at a young age. I started teaching when I was 18.
You were 18 you started teaching?
Yeah, I taught drum corps. I taught marching bands. Well, not marching bands. If you ever say that to a drum corps person, marching band, they might punch you in the face.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, that's it.
So I was fortunate enough to, my learning, my tutelage came under a couple of guys that I still love and respect very much. One is Bobby Craig, and the other one is a guy named Ricky Mangum. And they both really taught me about rudiments in teaching and ensemble drumming, and they allowed me to write with them. And I even recorded a record with a big producer and arranger, the guy named Nico Minato, and the arranger is a guy named Harold Wheeler. My first recording session was a drum corps session.
Wow.
It's on the side B of a record called Superman by Miko. He had a big disco hit with Star Wars, and the second one was Superman. So he called me, and it's called The Amazing Amazon. If you go on YouTube, you'll find it. That's my first recording. And guess who was next door?
This is how you first met Steve Gadd, isn't it?
That's how the second time I met Steve.
The second time you
met
Steve. Oh, my
the first time I met Steve, I had become a big Steve Gadd fan in high school. When I got turned on to Steve Gadd, it's like him and Harvey Mason changed my life. I'm like, this is drumming to me.
Yeah.
It was artistic. It had depth of field. It was dynamic. It was emotional. You know, and I liked all of that. And you know, but on the other side of the coin, the very aggressive side of drumming, I was crazy about Billy Cobham.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to meet Steve Gadd, Harvey Mason, Billy. I wanted to meet them, Danny Sarafin. So we found out Steve Gadd was sick.
Yeah.
So my friends and I Kenny Drew, Artie Duran, Freddie Coleman, all neighborhood friends. 3 of us was musicians, 1 was a baseball guy, but we all hung out. And we knew where Steve Gadd lived in Manhattan on 30th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue. We knew he had a loft. So the plan was that we were going to go down and say, listen, it's a rehearsal studio we're looking for, we're lost. And when he comes to the door, we'll just say, get well. So we go down, we knock on his door, we're nervous, I mean, our hearts are pumping. And someone comes to the door, but it's not him. And we're like, ah. So we say, oh, is this a rehearsal studio? And the gentleman says, no, I'm sorry, it isn't. He starts closing the door, and I said, wait a minute. Okay, to be very honest with you, we know Steve Gadd lives here, and we know he's sick. We just wanted to say get well. And he could see we were kids.
Yeah.
So he looked at us, and he was on the phone at the time. He was on one of those old cordless phones. And he said, Steve Gadd's here. He's recuperating. One of his lungs, he had pneumonia. One of his lungs had collapsed.
Oh, really?
He was really sick. So he said, let me see, he's feeling better. I'm his doctor. Let me go check and see. So he goes in, and when the door opens, I swear, it was almost like it opened in slow motion and a light came out of the door, right? And like fog. And out comes Steve Gadd, and all 4 of us just went like this. Like we couldn't move. So he says hello, and it probably, to us it probably sounded like hello,
Wrong.
Right, exactly. So he was very nice to us. He said, thank you so much for coming to say get well. I really appreciate that. And he asked all of our names, and we were still stunned. We told him our names, and he talked to us just for a few moments. And then he went back inside, he closed the door, and we were all like, oh. And we get on the elevator, we're walking. I don't know if we said a single word to each other. All the way to the Bronx. I don't think we, because it was the most amazing thing. But then, soon after that, I got called for this Miko session in Power Station, and next door is Eric Gale, Bob James, Richard T, and Steve Gadd. And they're working on something. Yeah, in the next room, right next door. Yeah, I was telling Jerry Barnes, our bass player with Chic, has a studio inside of, which is now called Power Station again, but it was called Avatar for a lot of years. But he was there for 16 years. So he knew exactly what room I was talking about. And outside was a coffee machine and a water machine. So I'm standing there and I don't know what I'm doing, but out walks Steve Gadd. And he stands right next to me. So I'm doing whatever I'm doing, and I keep doing this.
At that moment, the light comes on.
Yeah, right again.
Appears again.
Right, yeah, I'm going. So he looks over me because he can feel me keep looking at him, and he goes, hello. And the first words out of my mouth were, do you remember me? I was ready. So he says, you were one of the kids that came to my house. And I said, so he said, what was your name again? I said, I'm Ralph. He said, what are you doing there? I said, I'm doing a session over here. And I can't believe he's actually now like conversing with me.
Yeah.
And just to think that he remembered me was like, oh my God, Steve Gadd remembered me. And now you fast forward maybe 20 years later. I'm at SIR Studios. I'm the band leader for this big Japanese artist. At the time, I was drummer on 2 TV shows. Things were going incredible at this moment in my life. I'm on the Showtime at the Apollo. I'm band leader for the Caroline Ray Show. One show is on NBC, the other show is on ABC. I'm like the envy of everybody in New York. Plus, I'm now band leader for the superstar Japanese artist. So next door is Paul Simon, and all of my friends are in the band, and we happen to go on break at the same time. So the horn players come out and they're talking to me, and they said, Steve's inside. So I go in and I say hi to Steve. He says, hey, how you doing? He said, what's going on?
I love how as time goes on, it's got more and more casual.
Right. I mean, now I'm cool now, but I'm still like, this is Steve Gadd in Paul Simon's rehearsal. Yeah. So we talk, and he asked me what I was doing. I told him, well, I'm doing Showtime at the Apollo and the Caroline Ray Show. And he says, I actually saw you on Showtime at the Apollo. You're doing a great job. And I'm like, Right? Thank you. So he says to me, well, what drums do you play? And at the time, I had no drum endorsement. I think I had a cymbal endorsement. I was with Zildjian already at the time. I wasn't with any other companies. And he says, well, what do you play on? I said, whatever people put in front of me. And he said, well, give me all your information. Give me a contact number. Somebody's going to call you tomorrow. And honestly, I felt like, this man is so busy. I'm honored that he would even think to want to do that.
Of course.
My cell phone rang. There was a guy from Yamaha. And he said, hi. I believe his name was Howard. I could be wrong. But he said, Steve Gadd gave me a number. And he told me to call you. He said, welcome to the family. And
that was all he said?
Yeah.
What?
And he said, well, what drums do you like? And we went through the whole thing. And again, stunned. So anytime I see him or around him, he's always very cordial, very, very nice man. The last time I saw him, I was invited to see him in Japan.
Wow.
I don't know who he was playing with. All I know, Steve Gadd was playing. I'm serious.
Yeah.
So I went backstage, we talked drum corps, which blew me away, because he marched the drum corps in upstate New York.
Oh.
So I knew we had shared that in common.
Yeah.
But we talked about drum corps, and he was talking about how he felt drum corps was becoming a little bit too, like the drums were so high pitched now.
Yeah.
But he did not like the sport. He didn't know anything about Carolina Crown, which was one of my favorite drum corps.
Oh yeah.
So I sent him. He said, "Here, take my number. Here's my email address." Again, I'm going, what? Really? Right?
I have your number.
Like I could call him anytime.
Anytime you want, yeah.
So I had sent him a video of Carolina Crown so he could see what I was talking about. But I don't abuse the privilege.
No,
I've
of course.
never called him. I don't bother him. I don't go, hey buddy, how you doing? The man is busy. I respect the fact that he acknowledges that I'm around, and but I talk about him in my master classes as an example of what young drummers should aspire to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's, between him and Harvey Mason, to me, they cover the full gamut of what I think a good drummer should be. And that's why Steve Gadd, 20-minute story.
That was great.
Some of the musicians from Roy Ayers' band came.
Yep.
They actually stayed. They played early that day, and they came up to me afterward. They was like, "Man, that's a good show. Man, you are such a legend." And I get real like, no.
Really?
To me, listen, Roy Haynes is a legend. Elvin Jones is a legend. Steve Gadd is a legend. Harvey Mason is a legend. Peter Erskine, Danny Sarafin. I can go on and on. But to me personally, to be in that category of a Billy Cobham, and all of Bonham. I mean, all of these guys is like, that's a big coat to wear. To me. I love what I do, and I've been very fortunate, but I don't personally consider myself a legend when of these guys. Like, if they were on the Washington Monument, I would probably be the guy in the back like this. Exactly. But that's just how I personally feel. I do appreciate that people look at me in that way. But when I look at the drummers that came before me, that have done some amazing things. When that word legend comes around, I'm like, don't throw that around just so loosely to me. But that's just me. My manager swears, only because she's my manager. She says, "You are a legend." I'm like, no, I've done good things.
But to me, as like a kind of up and coming drummer, I would say like you are one of the drummers that I would definitely aspire to be and look up to.
No,
I'm serious, Ralph. I'm serious.
No, but thank you.
It's like guys like you that kind of like who are also so humble and so very like willing to like. I mean, I just got in touch with your manager just on a whim. I was like, oh, can I even have like a quick photo with Ralph? And she was like, how would you like to do an interview with him? And I was like, for me, like I think that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you, in my mind, a legend because you're.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I thank you. I'm going to give you a hug later for saying that. But it's something. I came from extremely humble beginnings, and I didn't have a drum set until I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then the next year I started playing as a professional. So my learning came from watching and listening to all of these guys, and even it was records I didn't have, so I would have to go to someone else to either play drums or listen to the music if it didn't come on. Our jazz radio station at the time was WRBR,
right.
And our cool R&B soul was WBLS. And before that, on the pop side, was WMCA. And I was immersed in listening to everything and everybody, which is what I encourage all musicians, all drummers, to get well versed in as many styles as you can.
Did you have like a kind of favorite preferred style in the beginning?
My favorite preferred style has always been Motown. Motown, R&B, you know, just playing some of the greatest music of our lives. You know, when I saw Standing in the Shadows of Motown, I was lost, because I thought it was the most incredible thing to hear these guys, these unsung musical legendary heroes, talk about the respect that they had and the competition between each other. You know, believe it or not, some of my closest friends are drummers. Yeah. You know, and we know that we all support each other. Absolutely. But we all know that there could be a time where we might be going after the same gig. And we go in and do our best. And if someone gets it, we always congratulate them. And that's just how we get down. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah, well, I think so too. And that's what I loved about Standing in the Shadow of Motown, because everyone respected each other. And that's what that sound was all about. Yeah. You know, hence the sound you hear with Nile Rodgers and Chic. Yeah. You know, I think everyone in the band can hold their own in any capacity. But as a collective, as a group, we are always trying to respect each other's space and not overshadow, but do the best within your lane as possible. And at the same time, when you're painting that canvas, you know that the brush strokes are going to overlay and cause other colors and hues, but still make something beautiful. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's what I'm, you know, that's how I feel. The first time I met Nile was on 48th Street in New York City. 48th Street is where all the music stores were. Right. There was a brass store, there was a Sam Ash, and then the street over was the Diamond District. So everything was segmented into these compartments but the music store. So one day I'm going into Manny's, and at the same time, I'm with a friend of mine, I can't remember who I was with. Nile Rodgers is walking in, I went, like, oh snap, that's Nile Rodgers. So he was really cool. And he just started talking. And we started talking, I'm listening. And he says, man, I came into the city because, you know, I was feeling a little down and depressed. And what do you do when you're depressed? Buy a Jaguar. That's what he said. So listen, I grew up in public housing. I'm from the projects. When I get depressed, I would take $1 and go to White Castle and give me some burgers. So I can't relate to going to.
My version of that would be like going to McDonald's and getting like chicken nuggets.
That's when you're depressed. And
absolutely, yeah.
Right. But he said, and I felt my face change when I was looking at it. Like he said, buy a Jaguar. I know I went, like, what? That wasn't cool. Like, I don't like him now. When I told him the story, he laughed like crazy. But what he was relating to was his life. Yeah. That was his reality. Mm-hmm. At the time when I was a kid, I couldn't get it. Yeah. I didn't know. But if I was depressed, go and buy myself a boat or something like that, or, you know, something cool, or, you know, fine. You know, but again, I was a kid. I didn't know. Yeah. But I still grew up listening to everything that him and Bernard did and loved all of it, because there was something that was so funky and groovy and danceable about his music, which was like, to me, a new wave of what Motown had done. Yeah. The lyrics, you can see the lyrics when he was talking, like you understood everything that was going on.
Absolutely.
It was very clear. You know, a lot of records you would hear lyrics and you would go, what are they saying? But every Nile Rodgers and Chic, well, every Chic record with him and Bernard, you can hear it and understand it. And the grooves were killing. And the drumming was crazy. Tony was crazy. So, years go by. I'm playing at a benefit that Nile is being honored at the Marriott Hotel.
Wow.
And so we had to learn all these Chic songs. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to show this guy what I could do. So
what better opportunity?
So we're playing the Chic songs. Silver Logan Sharp used to be the singer. She's there, and she sings a tribute to Nile, and then we do our songs. And Nile gets up to speak, and I'm hoping that at some point we go, wow, you sound really good. Nile got his award and left, and I swear I felt like the jilted lover. I was like, he never even noticed me. Like, how did he just leave and not say anything?
He never even called.
Right, he never called.
A little violent.
Right, exactly. So, not too long after that, I'm at my daughter's school at a play, and Nathaniel Townsend is playing for Nile. And I see he's calling me, so I'm like, it's got to be something work related. So I excuse myself, I go out in the lobby area, and I asked Nathaniel, I said, what's going on? He said, well, listen, I'm playing with Chic, I can't do a couple of gigs, would you like to do them? And I was like, yeah, are you kidding me?
Absolutely, yeah.
If I was busy, I'm subbing out my gig to go.
Definitely.
So I got the music, they sent me what I needed to get, I wrote out everything, I did the show exactly as I heard it, which was with Omar playing at Montrose Jazz Festival. But at the same time, one of my study habits, if I'm playing someone else's music and they want me to play the show, I will listen to the live performance and I will listen to the recordings to be able to see the nuances between the both and apply that to my playing. And that's what I did. Nile came into a rehearsal. It was me, the bass player at the time was Barry Johnson. Nile came and sat up. He set up, and he just wanted to hear what I sounded like. We started with the medley. We have a medley in the show. We started playing. About 3 or 4 minutes in, 5 minutes in, Nile packed up his stuff and left. And I'm like, was I horrible? So I asked questions. So I said, was everything okay? He said, you were fine. See you in Switzerland. And that was it. That was it. Gone. His sensibilities knew from what he heard that I had done my homework, and he didn't have to listen to a whole lot more, you know. And that's how he processes stuff. I get over to Gadd, and I'm playing. I do the show, and immediately after the show, Silva comes over to me and she says, "Nile loved what he heard, and he would love if you want the gig, it's yours." So I was like, well, what about Nathaniel? I'm not trying to cut nobody's throat. So he said, well, Nathaniel was kind of interim drummer and he was deciding on him, but you know, he wants to, you know, bring you in.
And when you're offered that opportunity, it's really hard to kind of pass that up.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, and that was more than 12 years ago. So I guess he liked what he heard because I'm still here.
You're still here.
And it's a pleasure working with him. He's a very, very special person.
I'll bet it is. I mean, I suppose as a musician as well, particularly as a drummer, learning someone else's songs, if you go into that situation and then someone's very happy with what you did enough, they've heard enough of your playing to know, yeah, he's fine. And they just go, like, there's no bigger compliment, I think, especially from someone like Nile as well.
Yes.
That's just...
And that's how I took it. So again, I went home and did more homework, make sure I had everything, played the show down, right tempos, right dynamics, right grooves. He was very, very happy about that. No, we've never played the clicks. We don't use any sequencing.
Right. So everything you hear is absolutely
live. This is the way how we've explained it, and we've tried to figure out to tell people what is it you're hearing. Honestly, what you're hearing is a band that is still playing in a local bar. That's the attitude we have.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Whether it's 10 people or 100,000 people, we vibe like we're a local band in the club, because that's honestly how I think and how I feel. I don't care if I'm playing in the Mark IV on 146th Street in St. Nicholas in Harlem, where there's only 4 people and 2 of them are asleep.
Been there.
Okay, yeah. I still play like I'm playing at Glastonbury. And I've always kept that as my model for performing. There's a certain gratification, and you know this as a musician, that if someone's going to take a moment to come out and hear you, either passing by or standing there, it is your obligation as an entertainer, as a public servant, to be able to serve them in a way that they are enjoying themselves, and not ever take that for granted. And that is very important. And you know, some musicians I know that depending on the gig, they'll play it like, oh, this is not that important, or you know, I don't have to really. No, that's not it at all.
It's not at all.
No,
Absolutely.
and so that's just my thinking. We're a club band. We're a bar band. We're a band that when you see us on stage, when you see the emotions of everybody, that's not pretentious. That's real stuff.
That's real. Yeah,
no, that's real.
That, yeah.
We literally talk about the show right as we get off. And we talk about all aspects of it. It's not like everyone goes to their neutral corner. We go, man, did you hear so-and-so? And what, you know, and this happened and that happened. And, you know, things like that.
Which can very easily happen, especially in that kind of dynamic. Totally.
Right, so I do appreciate what I do. And I never take it for granted. And I never have, and I never will. Yeah. I will never take a gig like, oh, this is just another gig. You know, I totally am clear that this is a privilege to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The worst happened when I did my very first tour. We were in Mexico, and I was with a group called Musique.
Right.
And the hit song was called Push Push in the Bush.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's almost embarrassing to say, I got you blushing. Yeah. Now, when you look it up on YouTube, the and the song is going, push, push in the bush. You know I like to go push, push. That's the, you know you want to get down. Yeah. So.
I can kind of see why this is leading up to the worst.
So, we're in some town in Mexico. I don't know where we were. And each stop was a different setup in each town. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they got the drum set from. But I'm playing disco, and obviously it's a quarter note 4 on the floor, and I'm hitting it. And this particular disco song is probably faster than most. It's about as fast as Everybody Dance, which is 130 BPM. This might be even a little faster. So I'm going, and I'm playing, and all of a sudden the drum set starts leaning over, and I'm going, so I'm, you know, from playing local gigs, I'm playing with one hand, I'm pulling it back, but it's still falling over. The drum set had gotten some kind of, you know, like termites or something. So the bass drum leg literally broke off.
Oh no. Oh no.
So now the bass player is standing like on the side of the drum, and he's trying to hold it with his foot the whole show. And I mean, I'm mortified because, again, this is my first tour.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is horrible, but I've never forgot that one horrible, yeah. There's another kind of scary moment where I was with Nile, and we were at a festival. I'll think of the name in a moment. It was really hot out, and Curacao. Thank you. It was in Curacao, and the stage was purposely built. It wasn't like a stage like in an auditorium weather.
Yeah.
So it was scaffolding.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And at the end of our show, we bring people up to dance during good times.
Oh, wow.
However, you can feel that the stage was a little flimsy during our performance with only 8 of us on stage and a monitor guy. And, you know, the people come on. Just say average is 100 pounds each person.
Okay.
The weight of the stage went from wherever to now plus 50 people times 100 pounds each. And I'm playing drums, and I can actually feel the whole stage moving like this, and the light rig is doing this. I'm like, And I'm now looking, okay, where can I jump if this thing decides it's about to collapse? It was very, very scary. The band members, they remember that one.
I know you have your own kind of side project, if you will, your own cookie kind of business.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when I was a kid, I was kind of a shy kid. And I always had a problem talking with girls when I was a teenager. So
we all have. Yeah.
So, but some of the guys in my neighborhood, I think they were just born cool. They could just talk to girls like it was okay. You know, I was the guy in the crew, in my crew of guys, that the girl would come to me and go, "Excuse me," and I go, "Yeah." They go, "Can you tap him for me, please?" You know, So to me, not being cool, being a bit of a nerd, growing up in the Bronx, I had to learn things that were cool for girls. And cooking was one of those things. Baking was very cool.
There we go.
So I learned it from my mother and my grandmother. And after my mother passed away, I kept it up. I started producing at home, and my guys would come over, two of my friends, Armando Colon and Gerard Harmon, they would come over. We had a production company, started doing pretty well. So one day I said, "Listen, I'm going to bake some cookies." And they both looked at me like, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm going to go bake some cookies." They're like, "All right." It's a little awkward, but so I made the cookies and I brought it to them. And after that, they said, "Dude, did you have cookies every time we come over?" And then shortly after that, my girlfriend had moved in. And I would cook, then bake. And one holiday season, we didn't have enough money for gifts.
Right.
So we had like 36 friends and family. It would have been a lot of money. So I said, "Why don't we just make the cookies?" So she said, "Sounds like a good idea." Gave them out. Everyone loved them. Everyone came back to us saying, "You should try to sell these." At the time, this is at the same time when I was doing a TV show. On Tuesday nights, I used to do an open mic in New York at a restaurant called Sylvia's. So the proprietor of the evening, I told her, I said, "Listen, I'm thinking about starting a cookie company, but I'd like to sell them for the night." And she said, "Fine, just bring them in." So we packed them up, primitive style, didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But we bagged up the cookies, $5 a bag, brought some samples. Everyone loved these cookies. And there just happened to be a guy at the bar from a magazine. My girlfriend at the time she graduated from Juilliard, and she was also from public housing. So he felt like it was a very interesting story to have these two inner city people that have come together to start this company.
Yeah.
So I was so ill prepared, I didn't know what was going to happen. So my sister had one of these pages, tell you how long ago, they had a PIN number. So I asked her, could I use that? Because I didn't want to use my home number.
Yeah.
She said, "No problem. You probably get just 2 or 3 calls." Well, how wrong was I? The magazine article came out, and every day it went from like 1 or 2 to when people started reading it to like 20, 30 a day that we were sending out cookies. So now my apartment has turned into this baking
a cookie factory.
Yeah, because I got a cooling rack. I got 50-pound bags of sugar. I can't walk in and out.
I bet at that time you're like, "Why did I make those cookies? Why?"
So,
that first day.
Yeah, but what we said, this is a good idea to keep moving. Well, it just snowballed from there.
Yep.
Snowballed from there. My ex-girlfriend got really overwhelmed with the whole experience, and she literally walked away. And I tried to run it by myself until she came to her senses, but she just stayed away. That's just her personality. Anyway, I kept it up for as long as I could, but I couldn't because I'm now touring. So I had to shut it down for about 2 years or so. And then I restarted the company again. And that was more than 8 years ago. And I now have a factory in New York City. We sell to hospitals, delis, supermarkets, not-for-profits, internet sales. It's called the Soul Snacks Cookie Company. I just did a big event, Ann and I did a big event in Manchester at a restaurant called Albert Schloss. And hopefully we'll be talking about opening up a small place in Manchester.
That would be fun.
And there's some conversation going on about opening in Scotland with the same people that ran the festival.
Oh, wow.
So
Fantastic.
you know, it's good. I'm just glad that the conversations are there.
That's brilliant.
But Soul Snacks, get some.
This has been amazing. Thank
And
you.
I got a cookie.
And you got a cookie out of it, I know.
That's what I call hospitality.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. This is great.